If you're anything like us and you always tune into the Grand Prix, and the 2021 Russian Grand Prix was certainly one for the books. So much went down at this tournament that we had to make a video sharing 10 things we discovered from Formula One's 2021 Russian Grand Prix. If you love Formula One, then stick around for all the inside details from Hamilton's impressive performance and new record from Mercedes to McLaren's ultimate defeat. Let's get into it. McLaren's defeats was more than just a case of bad luck. If anyone knows what it's like to watch a win slip through your fingers, it's Charles Leclerc. He speculated that Norris might be feeling extremely bad about his decision not to run intermediates after the race, and he may be correct. Both Norris and McLaren will go over the chain of events that led to their decision not to come in. McLaren F1 boss Andre Seidel admitted that they should have been harsher in their decision, as Mercedes was with Lewis Hamilton after he disobeyed the pit signal on lap 48. Norris was obstinate in his radio transmission, stating unequivocally that he preferred slick tires and he didn't realize his mistake until it was far too late. It's something that will happen in due course. Kimi Raikkonen, the driver with the most Grand Prix starts, was one of the first to make the transition, with Alfa Romeo placing complete trust in his decision. However, Sebastian Vettel and even Hamilton himself was skeptical that it was the correct time to enter the race. Hamilton was definitely on track to win with his pace. Lewis Hamilton is an icon in the F1 world, that is no question, and he just did it again at the Russian Grand Prix, giving his fans a real show. The 52-second margin of victory for Lewis Hamilton was the largest since his famous Silverstone victory in 2008, but it doesn't convey the whole tale of the race. Hamilton may have benefited from the weather, but he always had the speed to win in Sochi. His initial launch wasn't ideal, but the tow he received on the run to turn 1 was excellent. Mercedes played the long game, keeping Hamilton out longer than the rest of the field, allowing his underlying pace to shine through once Ricciardo had pitted. It meant that Norris' 8-second lead after both cars had stopped was always going to be whittled away. Hamilton is a fan favorite and never disappoints on the track. Hamilton's new record is insanely impressive. This one may surprise you, it definitely left us with our jaws on the floor, but Lewis Hamilton hit a huge milestone that not many other F1 drivers can say they achieved. Few could have foreseen Hamilton's meteoric rise to the top of the Formula One standings since his debut in 2007, with the latest milestone arriving in Russia on Sunday. Hamilton became the first driver in Formula One history to win 100 races with his 100th victory. It had been a long time coming. He had been locked on 99 since Silverstone, but it was a triumph that deserved to be savored. We're extremely lucky to be witnessing an all-time great achieve such incredible achievement. As you can see, a lot went down, and that's only a small handful of it. Stay tuned to find out how Norris was at the top of his game, but as soon as the rain hit, everything changed. Additionally, keep watching to find out how Ferrari are going to up their game for the upcoming season and how they'll implement new tech into their cars. Alonso shows off his incredible skills. After remarking on Thursday that scoring a podium for Alpine this year would require a chaotic race, Alonso came close to doing so in the dry after a late charge on mediums placed in him on the position for third place. He stayed out a little too long before coming in, causing him to drop back to 6th place at the finish, where he had started. However, his early performance was extremely impressive and reminded fans and viewers of just how talented he is. Alonso never disappoints with his impressive skills and racing abilities. Always a great racer to watch, that's for sure. Russell once again outdid Williams' performance. Although dropping from 3rd on the grid to 10th place in the race may not seem like much of the feat, George Russell has again propelled his Williams far ahead of where it should have been. Russell's 2nd place finish at Spa provided foreshadowing of what he can do in wet circumstances, so his qualifying heroics were perhaps unsurprising. Verstappen was unconvinced by the hype surrounding his possible 2022 opponent, claiming that the outcome proves that Williams isn't as bad as people assume. It's a skewed evaluation. Williams obviously is not as bad as 2019 or 2020, but it's still one of the 3 slowest cars on the grid. Regardless, Russell never fails to show the crowd how well he can perform in a typically underperforming car. Norris drove absolutely perfect until the rain started. While Norris's decision not to enter for intermediates may have been influenced by his lack of experience, his race up to that point had been flawless. Norris quipped on Saturday that Russia was probably the one circuit where starting from pole position would be a bad idea, but his forecast proved correct on the first lap. He kept 2nd place by managing his tires well and sped past the struggling Carlos Sainz Jr. before the Ferrari driver was forced to pit. Norris just kept driving as the trailing cars came in for hardships in droves. On the radio, he seemed cool and showed no symptoms of being concerned about his tires. Hamilton had a lead of over 14 seconds at one point, making him the clear favorite to win. Once in clear air, Hamilton's pace advantage became apparent, allowing him to carve into the gap and close in on Norris. Norris was able to reply and assist in the stabilization of the margin when it fell to roughly 2 seconds. After struggling behind Daniel Ricciardo early in the race, Hamilton admitted it would have been difficult to pass Norris if the rain hadn't fallen. Mercedes will have to face a tough decision on power units. Hamilton may be back in first place in the driver's standings, but the necessity for a newer power unit in the remaining races of the season remains a significant question mark. If Hamilton is forced to do so, he'll almost certainly be forced to start from the rear of the grid, like Verstappen did in Russia. Red Bull took advantage of its lack of performance in comparison to Mercedes and Verstappen's grid penalty from Monza to pull the trigger at Monza, indicating that it should be good to make it until the end of the year. Sainz is killing it, will Ferrari. Carlos Sainz has handled everything in stride during his debut season at Ferrari, despite the excitement and pressure that comes with racing for F1's most iconic team. Sainz has been open and thoughtful, accepting full responsibility for his faults, like the 2 major practice crashes he had at Zandvoort and Monza. But in Russia, he put on a show to remember, delivering what he dubbed the Scuderia's most complete weekend to date. Despite the fact that Ferrari lacked the speed to compete for the podium in Russia, Sainz was able to keep his team in contention owing to an exceptional qualifying performance and a strong start. Norris could invariably pass him at some point, with graining on the mediums forcing Sainz to come to a halt. He later told his crew that he thought he'd place 5th, which was shocking given how forcefully he started. Sainz is likely to have finished 4th or 5th before the rain. However, Ferrari made the correct call and brought him in at the appropriate time, giving the Spaniard his 3rd podium of the season. Positive noises coming from Ferrari. Ferrari used to be known as the top of the top. They were the team to beat and always came out in front, but things have changed over the past few years and not for the best. It is no secret that Ferrari have been lacking in the performance and are definitely not performing how they used to. However, Ferrari is hoping to capitalize on the strong momentum of their 2021 campaign with technologies that they hope will allow them return to title contention in 2022. Some evidence of this can be seen this weekend in Russia, where a new hybrid system is expected to give high single-digit horsepower boosts. Charles Leclerc has it and will be penalized as a result, while Carlos Sainz is expected to get it in Turkey will be penalized as well. Early indications are that it's a positive step forwards, implying that the data is correlating with the Maranello dynos. Ferrari is contemplating a completely reworked power unit for next season, which they hope will improve performance. Sochi provided a classic Formula One race despite all of the rain. When we look back on races in Spain, France, and Russia as highlights of a fantastic F1 season, it's a sign of how good it was. Since joining the F1 calendar in 2014, the Sochi Autodrome has scarcely been a fan favorite, and it only has one more race until the Russian Grand Prix moves to St. Petersburg in 2023. We may remember the 2021 Russian Grand Prix for the late rain that denied Norris and handed Hamilton his 100th victory, but even without the rain, it was a fantastic race with a variety of strategy and overtakes across the field. And there you have it, everything you need to know about the Formula One 2021 Russian Grand Prix and all the exciting and not so exciting things that went down. Make sure to let us know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching.